has free evenings, which I totally understand. So we're going to get started. Okay. All right. So as I said, hello, everybody. Thank y'all for joining me. Quick little intro. My name is Crystal Linton. I have been a makeup artist for the last 11 years. I am a bridal specialist, and I also specialize in mature skin. So I am very qualified to teach you guys how to utilize eyeshadow in an easy, fun way. 2 years ago, I stopped taking weddings. Only special weddings I take now. I stopped taking weddings and I started teaching. I love teaching, so I'm very excited to be able to be here with you guys today. I would encourage you guys to ask any question you have as we are going through this this presentation and through our lesson. And for those of you joining us in the recording, feel free to put comments in the comments section and I will get back to you. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull up my recording. Or not my recording, my presentation. We'll just share my screen here. All right. Okay. So welcome to the Oasis Eyeshadow Masterclass. We're going to get started right away. For those of you who have not yet seen these palettes, the Oasis collection is our line of eyeshadow palettes. We have 6 palettes in this collection and recently launched 3 more. This is not one of those ones. Recently launched 3 more. These are palettes that can elevate your look with 3 fresh new shade range. These ones, they are inspired by nature in the most striking tones. For those of you who haven't seen them yet, I will give you a little peek now. This one here is called Violet Skies. Each shade is crafted with a silky smooth formula for seamless application and long-lasting wear. This one here is called Velvet Dusk. These palettes are designed to complement all skin tones and types, and the palettes draw from the beauty of nature to enhance your own natural beauty, okay? So these are all of our new palettes, and as I said before we started recording, if you don't have one of our new palettes, don't worry. You are here because you have a Oasis palette. So feel free to grab one of your old favorites. We do have Desert Sands, Mirage, Rose Dune as well. And the technique that we'll be going over today will help you utilize all of those palettes and any palette you've purchased before. If you have something sitting in your makeup bag that you've never used because you just in the store you loved it and then you got it home and you have no idea what to do with it, don't worry, this technique will help you be able to utilize those palettes too. Okay, so this is kind of important. I'm not sure if you guys can see this. Let me see if I can move this out of the way. Okay. So knowing your eye shape, I mean, I can go this way with it. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Knowing your eye shape is incredibly important. Every person's eye shape is different, and the way that you put eyeshadow on actually does depend on your eye shape, which I know makes it very confusing when we are following, influencer tutorials online. They generally know how to apply makeup for their eye shape only, and that's what they're teaching you. A lot of the times when you see the videos that say, this is wrong, it is not actually wrong, it is just wrong for them. So it is very important that you follow influencers that have a similar eye shape to you, similar tone, and are a similar age, okay? So this one is the Almond Eyes. I don't know if you guys recognize this lady here. Her name is Shanine. I feel like you guys do. But she has almond eyes. So almond eyes, the goal is to emphasize the natural symmetry of the eye. Essentially, it means that from this part of your eye to this part of your eyes are identical. If you cut them in half and folded them over, they would be exactly the same. So,
hey, Krista, I'm sorry to interrupt, honey. I don't see your slides.
Really? Does anyone else not see any? Do you only see me?
Yes.
I see the slides. I see them.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, okay. You just got to scroll to the side.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, speaker view. I'm sorry. I got it now. I had to go to speaker view. Thank you.
Do you see it now, Joanne? I just want to make sure.
Thank you very much.
Making sauce. Okay. Can you actually open one for me?
And I'm also on.
Okay. So these steps in applying your eyeshadow to your almond eyes. These are the steps. Go ahead and screenshot it here if you think that you have almond eyes. If you do not know what shape of eye you have, you can ask. It's unlikely that I'll be able to tell here. Right now I have my camera kind of small, but when we get to the actual lesson part, when we are a little more hands-on, feel free to ask and I will let you know what my opinion would be. So the steps are to apply a medium tone shade to the crease. This adds depth. All right, this is the step one in our technique as well. Then you always want to highlight the inner corner, and you can see she's done that in this photo as well. And you want to focus your darker side on the outer side. So essentially for her, she's using liner to do her focus for her outer sides. And you make sure that whole thing is blended well, and that's how you will get the perfect eyeshadow for almond eyes. Now the next eye shape that is so popular that we're going to go over is hooded eyes. And I feel like anyone who I've ever had a lesson with who has hooded eyes has always said, I can't wear eyeshadow because I have hooded eyes, which I totally understand. Unfortunately, hooded eyes, it's a little bit different of a technique. And if nobody shows you, how would you know? Most people, when I apply their eyeshadow exactly the way it was like suggested for the almond eyes in the last slide, if you were to apply it exactly that way on your hooded eyes, once you open your eye, the eyeshadow will be gone. The entirety of the eyeshadow will be in your crease behind your eyeball because it's gone, right? So we want to make sure we're applying our eyeshadow a little deeper and farther out. So you can see here on this photo, I don't know if you know this lady, her name is Jamie, and on the outsides of her eyes, you can see that her eyeshadow goes all the way from where her natural crease is up towards the tail of her brow bone, or her brow, sorry. So that means that when her eyes are open, you guys can clearly see that she has a smoky eyeshadow going on, where you can also clearly see that the entirety of her eyelid is gone. If you look where her lashes sit, there is no eyelid there. That entire eyelid is behind her eyeball because she has hooded eyes. So her eyeshadow is on the outer part of her crease. These steps say the same, very similar. Use a matte medium slightly above your crease. So instead of in your crease like an almond, we're slightly above. We want to make sure we can see it. And we put our darker colors in our outer corner, again, sweeping it out towards the corner of our brow. We always are going to put a lighter shimmer in the center of our eyes or the corner of our eyes to draw light. And we are going to avoid heavy eyeliner. So you can see with Jamie, a little different than with Shanine, she is not wearing eyeliner. She actually only has a nude on her waterline, which is what it says here, that instead of eyeliner, tight line your upper lashes, which she has done, and use a nude liner on your lower lash line. Now, I know a lot of people are used to using white, still a very popular color, still looks very lovely. I would say that as we mature, it is a little bit more flattering to move towards a nude liner instead of a white liner. Next, we have the monolid. Now, the monolid is essentially when you do not see your eyelid at all. So it's kind of like your eye is just one flat space. So the goal when applying eyeshadow on a monolid is to add depth and dimension to a flat lid. Now, this is one of my clients. Her name is Sue. I've had the privilege of doing her makeup a few times. And this is generally the steps that we take when we do her eyeshadow. So we use a gradient effect, which means light, medium, dark, starting from the inner corner, working to the middle and going to the darker corner. And we blend the entirety of what we put on her eyelid up, out, up to her brow. When she closes her eyes, you can see the eyeshadow that's sitting right here above her crease goes all the way from her lash line all the way up to her crease, and it is exactly the same. That makes sure that we can see it, and it gives the fake effect that she has a crease. If you look from the corner of her eye, we have illuminated that, as we say to do in just about every eye, that you do want to illuminate the corner here, and then you can see there is a crease kind of going from her inner eye up towards the arch of her brow. That comes from the eyeshadow, not from God-given brow or God-given creases, okay? Again, with the monolid, very similar to the hooded lid, in order to make the eyes look bigger and get more of a wide, bright effect, we do tight line instead of using actual liner. Liner is going to drag the eye down. Tight lining is going to bring the eye up. And last is the round eye. So a round, essentially, you can see it right in this photo. It means her eyeball starts in her crease, goes really high up. It's very round and comes back down. The goal when applying eyeshadow on anyone with a round eye, or for yourself if you have a round eye, is to elongate the eyes, okay? So very similar to all the other styles, which is important. I did this on purpose so I could show you that this technique works for everybody. You apply your medium toned shade to your crease and you extend it outwards. With our hooded eyes, we are extending upwards. With our round eyes, we are extending that shadow outwards, okay? We use a darker shade around the corner and we blend it around the entire outer edge. So that means the bottom and the top. We blend that outwards, okay? We line the upper lash line and we usually would create some type of wing at this point just to again elongate, and we avoid highlighting the lower lash line too much because we don't want the eyes to look round. So when you're looking at this photo, you can see that I actually did not do anything to her lower lash line. She does not have mascara. Besides placing the outer shadow here, that is all we did because we just wanted to draw attention to the ends to elongate here and not make the eyes look even rounder. All right. So that brings us in to our 3-step technique, which is essentially what has been said in each one of those slides for each eye shape. This is the technique that we're using. The 3-step shadow technique is a simple and versatile method for applying eyeshadow that works for all skill levels and most eye shapes. Every eye shape that I discussed in the last 4 slides, it works for. It uses 3 shades, light, medium, and dark, to define the eyes. It adds steps and creates a balanced look. This photo here, I did use the 3 shadow technique. Okay, and every photo going forward, it's the same. So 3-step technique overview, and we will go over this hands-on. So don't feel like you need to be rushing to try to figure it out on your own eye right now. Once we are finished the slides, I will go in and show you guys exactly what colors to use from each palette and how to apply them. And at that time, I'll be able to answer your questions. So step 1, we use a medium transition in the crease. The purpose of this is it adds dimension and it acts as a bridge between your lighter and darker shades. To place it down, we sweep the medium shade into the crease using a windshield wiper motion. That is this motion right here, literally exactly how it sounds, a windshield wiper, okay? We blend upwards slightly towards the brow bone, avoiding the highlighted area, which is here, and this shade should be a soft and blended gradient. Step 2, the dark shade. This is what gives definition. The purpose is to create definition for a more dramatic or contoured look. When it comes to these techniques, depending on the darker the shade, the more dramatic the look you are going to create. You can use this technique to create very soft, everyday makeup. You can also use this technique to create very glam makeup, okay? So you're going to apply the dark shade to the outer corner of the eyelid, forming a V. A V is this section right here. It's where the whites of your eyeballs start. So this section is your one line of your V. Your second line of your V is into your natural crease. You will blend it into the outer crease for a seamless transition. Essentially, you're blending it into your shade 1. This says you can also smudge the dark shade along the upper lash line for intensity. And this, of course, depends on your eye shape, if that's going to work out for you. And step 3 is the light shade, and this is the purpose. This brightens up your eyes. The placement is to apply the light shimmer or the matte shade to the inner corner and the brow bone, and sometimes the center of the lid. In the photo shown, I have it on my inner corner. I brought that, sorry, since my internet is unstable. I brought that up to the center of my eyelid, and I did place that in my brow bone. The shade acts as a base and highlights areas to make them stand out. Now, here are a bunch of photos that show eyeshadow created with the three-step technique. You can see we can go from very, very natural to very glam and kind of everywhere in between, all right? So that brings us to the end. Let's get started. I'm so excited for you guys to test this out on your own. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. All right, we're back. So for the next part, this is going to be hands-on. So I'm going to go over each step with you guys. If you have your makeup with you, feel free to join in, or you could just save the lesson for later. And if you have any questions, ask as we go, okay? So we're going to start off. The very first thing when we're going to do our eyeshadow is our eyes need to be prepped. This is key. One thing that is a fun fact about your face is that your eyes are the hottest part of your face. As they age, they just get hotter. If you've ever experienced a hot flash, you know it is incredible. So this area right here will melt off all of your makeup. As you can see right now, my eyelids are darker than the rest of my face. I put on foundation on my eyelids an hour ago, but my eyelids are so hot that they have already melted off all of that makeup. Like, there's like creasy lines even. It is so important that you have a base down for your eyeshadow. Most people think it's just so that we can hold the eyeshadow down, for the longevity of the eyeshadow, for the pigmentation of the eyeshadow, and all of those things are correct. But another issue that is even more important than those things is the fact that your eyeshadow will crease off, will melt, will smudge, and will be gone if you do not have a base, just because your eyes are the hottest part of your body. So a great thing to use is a actual eyeshadow primer, okay? You can apply these with a silicone brush, and you want to apply it all the way from your lash line all the way up to your brows. Even if you are only intending to put on a light amount of makeup and you're not going up to the brows, you want to make sure that your lids are perfectly prepped. Now, if you do not have a primer, make sure to reach out to the influencer who invited you to this class, and they will help you get that sorted. In the meantime, you can grab your favorite concealer and use your concealer to apply. Concealer will give you the longevity of the makeup. It will give you the pigmentation, but unfortunately, concealer does not prevent the heat from your body from melting your makeup. The primer is literally made to do that. So the primer is what you want to have. So go ahead and we're going to apply right from the lash line, and we're going to apply that right up to our brows. This is not a step that you have to take too much care. It does not have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be smooth. It just has to exist. You can just go ahead and smudge that out. If you do not have a silicone brush, your finger works just as well. Your finger is your best God-given tool for applying makeup. Most makeup works better when it's applied with a little bit of warmth. So you can go ahead and try that. Let's say even if you don't have a concealer, you want to just make sure that you do have some sort of base down. So maybe your BB cream, a foundation, some moisturizer, but just having your bare skin, you won't get the same outcome from the eyeshadow. Even though our eyeshadows are so pigmented and are such good quality, they still do need a base in order to sit properly. So we got our primer on, we can move into our first step. Now, our first step, we take a medium tone eyeshadow. So I'm going to open up each one of these palettes so I can show you which shadows from each palette would be considered your medium tone, okay? And this is regardless of if you're doing a glam or if you're doing something neutral. These are your medium tone shades, okay? Oh, I thought I could do all three at once, but I cannot. Okay. We're going to start off with Violet Skies, and this one is Velvet Dusk. So in this palette, your medium tone shades are this one, which is called Mauve, this one, which is called Horizon. Don't be surprised, but I'm sure you are. This one, that's called Violet, and you can even use this one called Mystic. And I know that is surprising because this is a very dark tone shade, and I will tell you that you can use it as a dark tone as well. However, because it brings the color story of every single one of these colors, if this is your deepest and then you go in with this on your lid and you pull this shimmery, sparkly, dark color to the outside, you have an incredibly deep, smoky, beautiful glam eye. That's why this one is still a medium, okay? Because it pulls together the entire color story. This one here is called Velvet Dusk. And on this one, we have this one here. Hold on, I actually need to see the names. Sorry. This one here is called Dawn. We also have Moonlit. We have Rose and Harmony. Okay? So any one of these four would be a color you would choose. And here we have, this is Lost Lagoon, all right? So any one of these, this is Sand, Beach, even this one, I think, Depths would be your transition. I would even go as far to say, because this is a very colorful palette that has an incredible versatility, that you could use Pool, which is this blue tone here, as your medium tone. And I say this because Pool is medium to this. This is still a darker shade. This is still a darker shade. Any one of these shades would be a lighter shade to Pool that could go in your on your eyelid. So this could also be thrown in there. And again, that would bring you to doing a very glam look. So I want you guys to go ahead and pick one color that you are deciding to use as your transition color today. I am going to do a one eye. Oh, no, I can't. I was going to, and then I remember I have to do something, so I can't do it. I'm so sorry. So I'm just going to do them the same. All right, so I'm going to go in with the Velvet Dusk because it has the most amount of options. I do want to be able to show you shimmer later. So when you're applying this, this is the one we apply with our windshield wiper motion. We want to be using a brush that looks like this. This is a fluffy crease brush, okay? It is very soft. It has lots of movement. It holds a lot of product. A fun little tip for using this product or this brush, when you pick up your product like this, you're going to pick up your product, yeah. Instead of doing this, which comes so naturally, instead of, pick up your product and do this. This brush is built to hold tons of product. So you can have product at the top and product down through the end of your brush. This allows you to continue to build up your eyeshadow in your crease as you want, okay? Without having to go back and forth to your palette, all right? So you want to use this one for your crease, exactly what it's called. It's a fluffy crease brush. It does a lot of blending and diffusing. Using a brush like this will give you a softer pigmentation as it will diffuse the pigments as you are brushing them on. I always suggest that you have one of these that you're using and one of these that are clean. I have a clean one? Yes. And one that is clean. Because whenever you make a mistake, say a part of your eyeshadow gets a little bit too dark, you blend it a little too further out than you wanted to, you can use the clean brush and diffuse those colors by doing the windshield wiper motion in the space where you want to move the color, and all the color will be moved, okay? And then you can go back in with your color with your brush with color and apply. So starting in the center of your eye here, your natural crease is going to be where your eyeball rounds, essentially. For most people, you can see your crease. If you have a hooded eye or a monolid, you will not be seeing your crease. So we'll push this in. This is where your crease is, this area right here. That's where we're going to place our product. So we're going to push it right into our crease, and we windshield wiper motion back and forth. And you want to go all the way down here to the front part of your eye, all the way around to the back part of your eye. just like so. Now, a little pro tip for those of you with hooded eyes. It is so important that you do this step with your eye open. Most people, when they apply their eyeshadow, they close their eyes, they go to their crease, they apply. For someone who has hooded eyes, when we do this, we open our eyes, the eyeshadow is completely gone. There's no more eyeshadow. So if you have your eye open, look straight ahead, take your eyeshadow, and you are just going to place the brush right where you can see it. So I'm looking straight ahead, and I am placing the brush far above my crease, but where I can see it. So now, when my eyes open and I'm looking at you and talking, you can see my eyeshadow. So now I know that that is the space where I want to blend my product, okay? Much higher than where I would place it. You can see here, when I close my eyes, I shaded in this area right here. When my eye was open, I'm shading all the way up here. So, you know, it's quite a big difference, okay? Now, if you have round eyes or you have hooded eyes, you want to be taking this shadow and bringing it a little bit further out. So we're going right up towards the tail of our brow. This is going to help to elongate your eye and add quite a bit of definition and also just make your eyes look quite a bit bigger. I'm actually going to go in with a darker color on the other side because I feel like you can't really see what I'm doing.
You changed now to your darker color, right? When you started to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to do that in the corner next.
In the corner,
again, this is a quick recap.
Yeah.
Windshield wiper motion in your natural crease. We're going to go from the outside of our eye all the way into the inner side of our eye. If we make any mistakes, take a brush that looks exactly like this with no product on it, and you can go ahead and just circular motion to diffuse out any mistakes, any issues, any areas that are a little bit deeper than you wanted them to be. If you have hooded eyes, keep your eyes open, place the eyeshadow right where you can see it, and blend it out. This is to ensure that when your eyes are open and you're talking and living your life all day, people can see the eyeshadow and the effort that went into your work, all right? You're going to take that shadow if you have round eyes or hooded eyes, and you are going to bring that out towards the tail of your eyebrow. This is going to give you some elongation, some definition, and make your eyes look brighter and wider. Okay, does everyone feel good about step one? This is our transition.
Yes, I was just double checking that you were still in the same shade.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I thought so, but I hope I didn't miss a step there. And I used rose. I don't know which one you used, but I used rose for my medium.
I am using Velvet Dusk.
Oh, cool. Okay, fun.
Okay, so once you guys are happy with your definition color, here's fun fact number 2. You can just leave it like that. If that's all you want, if you're just heading out, my honest opinion to you guys for, like, I say this all the time when I'm teaching classes to people who get up and go to work in the morning, that the eyeshadow thing can be the thing you skip. What's most important is that you bring your eyes to match your face. So if you were doing your face, you cannot leave your eyes bare. It does look a little disproportionate. But if you just go ahead and take one of your medium tone crease shades or your favorite bronzer and rub that through your crease, you can put your mascara and be done. Your eyes are elongated, they're brighter, wider, all of the good things, and your face and your eyes match, okay? So now we're on to step 2 of the 3-step technique, and we're actually going to go in with our darker shade. So that is any shade. So it could even be ones that I said were our mediums. It is any shade that is darker than the shade that we use in our crease. So for me, I use Moonlit, which means I can use literally any shade as my darker shade because this shade is so light. I could use Rose, Harmony, Dawn, Amethyst, even Luster, okay? Now go ahead and grab the purple palette because I know Joanne's using this one.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I was using Rose from the Velvet Dusk. And so, but you said you started with Moonlit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's cool. I'm glad to see we can do that.
So many options.
Yeah.
So if you put, like, let's say you put this one down, Horizon, as your medium shade. Now you can use any one of these shades. So you can use, what is this called? Violet or Mystic as your dark shades. You can even use this one. This one's a little bit shimmery, but it's just a little bit shimmery. I feel like you can use it in places where you would usually put your matte. And on this one here, this one has a lot of options too. So let's say we use Silt as our medium tone. So now we can go in, we can use Beach, we can use Pool, we can use Depths, or we can use League. Lots of options, okay? So I'm going to go in now, and we're going to use the same brush, you guys. Like, we're keeping it like really simple around here. So the same brush you use to apply your crease, we are going to apply the outer part of our eye. Just the technique we use will be a little bit different. So go ahead and pick the color that you will be using as your deepest shade. And now, to get more pigment out of this brush, because this is a brush that diffuses pigment, to get more pigment out of it, we want to press. So instead of doing windshield or any type of blending circular motions, we're going to press that shadow into our eye. Now, it doesn't matter at this stage what shade, what shape of eye you have. Your darkest shade is going in your outer V. Your outer V is from where your eye point ends to where your eye color starts. This white area that you could see of your eye, that's your outer V. So that's where we are going to place our deepest color into. And this color, again, you can put it down as light or as dark as you want. The pigment that you want is totally up to you and your vibe for the day or the night. We're just pressing that in. Once we have the pigment to where we want it, it's as deep as we want, it's in the placement that we want, you can go ahead and we're going to blend that. I'm just going to place it on the other side here. So again, we're just pressing the product down. Pressing actually does just build more pigment. We're not diffusing the color. So we're keeping the color as is, okay? Tap off any extra excess that you have from your brush. If you have multiple brushes, this is a good time to use a different brush to start blending. If you don't have multiple brushes, you just use the back of your hand, get the excess powder off of the brush. If you're like getting ready in your robe, just wipe it on your robe. It works out. But you just want to get off some of the excess product because now we're going to get into some blending. So this darker color here, we want it to match into this color without there being this harsh line. So this is the harsh line that we want to diffuse, okay? We still want the deepness around this outside part here, but we want to diffuse this line. Now, to blend, you want to be using a soft hand, okay? We don't want the brush to get mashed into our face and see how it's getting pushed in. We don't want that when we're blending. When we're blending, we want the brush to sit, you can see here, seamlessly on our skin. So we're just using the tips of the brush to blend. You can see the way I'm getting this is because I am holding my brush at the very end. Very demure, very mindful. So we are holding the brush at the end. This puts less weight on the front of the brush, and it also gives like a softer hand. We don't have as much control as when we hold the brush down here, okay? We hold the brush back here, we have a much softer hand. Now we're gonna go in and very soft motions, little circles. That's how you blend. It's just a bunch of little circles over and over and over again, okay? So we go in with our little circles. We're starting here at like this deep dark line, and we're just gonna blend that. If you have round or hooded eyes, you're blending up and out towards the tail of your eye. If you have almond eyes, you are blending straight out, okay? So we're going up and out. So you can see I just did little circles. I blended that up into my medium tone shade, and now I have absolutely no dark line, okay? I'll show you again on this side. We don't need to overthink it. I think with eyeshadow is one thing we overthink far more than we should. We shouldn't. So we're gonna go ahead, close your eye for this, and we're just going to blend in a little circle up and out towards the tail of our eye, like so. A very soft hand. We are just moving the product, okay? Positive pan, I would say with your eyeshadow, I'm noticing because your face is right under my face in my screen. So on your shadow, so in this area here where you put your darker tone, I would place it with your eye open, okay? So use when your eye is open, then place that shadow and then blend it out. Because I'd say like as much as you have like hooded eyes and also almond eyes, you're just, you know, things change as we get older, right? You're moving into more of a mono lid. So try to follow those steps. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Unsolicited advice. I'm just watching you. Okay. So once you got that blended, you can see that softened up the color quite a bit. When you're going in for a glam look, just know it's buildable. We don't get those deep dark colors by applying them one time. If you apply too much pigment one time, you don't get the beautiful blends that we want, right? You end up getting it be a little bit splotchy. You kind of see where you've been moving your brush, and that's not the end result. We want the color to look seamless, so we can build that up. So you can take a little bit more color, do the same thing. We're just going to tap it down in the exact same spot. Do that on both sides. Or not. Maybe you want one side darker than the other. I don't know. And then the same way, little circle your motion. And I'm bringing that right up to my crease. And I forgot to clean off my brush that time, but that's okay. Right up to my brow. And this
That's
is
the first time I used luster. I've used almost all the colors in here, but I didn't use luster. And so it's the first time that I did.
Now's the time.
Really, really like it. Yeah. Yeah. So it's the far bottom right.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I haven't used that one either. I've only swatched it.
Yeah. I just did that tonight. And I thought it was a little red, but you know, it goes great actually. And blends in beautiful. Really nice.
Very pretty.
Yeah.
So I have made a mistake, which gives me the opportunity to show you guys how to diffuse out issues like this. I didn't clean off this brush before I started blending. So now I have shadow where I do not want shadow. So you take a clean brush. I'm just double checking that this is indeed a clean brush. You take a clean brush, and again, using a very light hand, we're holding the brush at the end. We're just going to put it right up against the area that we want to not have product, and I'm going to, in little circular motions, diffuse that color. Just like so. And now you can see I have fixed it. I do not have a big line on my eyeshadow. It's just that simple. Blending is just the key to everything, okay? So it's okay if we make mistakes. We don't have to start over. We don't have to make our eyes all dark because we went too dark in some places. We just take another brush and blend it out. So for the third step in this technique, we are taking our lightest shade. And our lightest shade could be either a matte or a shimmer, okay? Whereas our deep shades and our transition shades, our medium tones, are always matte, okay?
Okay.
But in our eyelids, we can do a shimmer or a matte. So in this case, when we're using this palette here, we have the option to use this color. It's called Soft. We also have Celestial, or we have this one here called Fantasy. And depending on what you did, this is a pretty soft shade too, Moonlit. Over here in the Lost Lagoons palette, our light shades could be these shimmers, obviously, which is super fun. This is called Lagoon, Luster, and this is Sand, which would be the matte. And in our Violet Skies palette, we have this beautiful color called Cloudy, this one here, which is called Mist, this one over here, which is called Illusions, this one over here called Afterglow. Is that one a shimmery one too? Oh, Lordy, it is. This one here called Aura. Any one of these can go on your eyelid, all right? The placement of these, you can either use the same fluffy brush. However, we've been using them on dark colors. So if you have another brush, it is nice to go in with, these are called shadow brushes. Essentially, they are just flat and small like so, and they will just pack the eyeshadow on to your eyelid, okay? So these are shadow brushes, and you can go ahead and take any color. If you want to do a matte, pick a matte. You want to do a shimmer, pick a shimmer. If you're picking a shimmer, I do recommend using your God-given tool to apply it. I do think you get a little bit more payout. The way you apply is the same. We're still just pressing down on the eyelid and pulling. We're not doing any blending or movement with our shimmers. It's always just a push and a pull or multiple little pushes, okay? You would do the same thing with your finger, push it down, pull it across, kind of like this, like a little inchworm across your eye. That's gonna give you the most payout from your shimmer colors. You guys can go ahead and pick whichever color. I'm going to do a shimmery one today. I'm going to use Celestial, and I am going to do both with the brush and with my finger so you can see the difference. You want to make sure that when you're using your brush, you're not using it like this. This is not the way to pick up the product with these brushes. You need to be using it flat down. So we're picking up the product like this, so that the side of the brush that we are going to use has the most amount of product. There's no product on the tip of the brush. There's no product on the other side of the brush, just the one flat side. This is also going to prevent a lot of fallout, okay? So we're going to push this product right up against our eyelid, just like so. And you place this product right from the corner of your eye, right to where your darker shade starts. So you end up getting it something that looks like this. If you get to this spot and you can notice, which it happens, that there's a bit of a disconnect where you can see where your light and dark shade get together, go back in with your little blender and go ahead and just blend out those two colors so that they kind of marry together and it's a little bit more seamless. On my other eye, I'm going to use my God-given tool to show you the difference when applying shimmer. And I'm just going to place that down. And I'm sure you can see immediately what a much better payout you get with your shimmer when you apply it with your finger. It's a little more natural looking. You get a little bit more vibrant. I can't tell if you can tell, but I can tell. You get a little bit more vibrant with your finger. That's just because the shimmers and the glitters, they react better to the warmth of our hands. Now, using this 3-step technique, honestly, you guys, you can create so many looks. This is the base right here. This is the basic part. Hold on, I put shimmer all over my eyelid. My under eye, I mean. There we go. So this is the basics. So at this part, we can go ahead, put our mascara, and we're all done. And that's our makeup for all the time. And we can you know, choose our colors to make it glam, or we can make it soft, but that is the basics. When you want to go and like start learning more things, just know this is the basics. Once you know this, it's so much easier to learn other things. Things like a cut crease, another very popular thing when it comes to holiday makeup or more glam makeup. It is exactly this technique, except before you apply your shimmer shade or your light tone, your step 3, you go back in with your primer and you draw a perfect, beautiful line. That's your cut crease. Then you go ahead and apply your product back on. It's still this technique, okay? I want to show you guys a few little tips that I personally love. I really think they pull eyeshadow together, especially as we get a little bit older. The first one is liner. I know liner is not really eyeshadow, but they all tie in together. So these are going to just be some little fun extras. So liner, not something that I generally use too often on my mature brides or their mothers, okay? Liner tends to kind of drag your eyeballs down. If you have almond eyes, yes, liner is for you. If you are young with almond eyes, all the liner, do all the wings too. But if you are not and you are struggling with eyeliner, I know that as we get older, it's sometimes harder to draw straight lines. We can't really see because you normally wear glasses, and that makes liner very difficult. So I'm just going to show you guys a really easy way to apply some definition using your shadow. So I'm going to pick up the same palette that I was using, and we're going to use, this is a liner brush. It is essentially a little triangular brush. It's very flat. If yours is not flat anymore, put some lash glue on the outside and go like this, and it'll be flat again because you want it to be sharp. Okay. If it becomes a little bit too fluffy, just like from cleaning, you want to pull that together. Okay. Because you want your lines to be really crispy. So you pick up whatever dark color that it is that you want to use. And I actually did just do a lesson on this on my Instagram. You guys can check out after on how to create a more liquid liner using your eyeshadows and using your shimmery colors to have some more fun, colorful liner. But the basics is basically we're just going to take our product, pick up whatever color that we want to use. So I'm going to use here the amethyst. And now if you have almond eyes, from the inner corner all the way out. If you have round eyes, from the inner corner all the way out. Concentration on the outer corner. If you have hooded eyes, inner corner, not quite. Where your lashes start to where your lashes end. Okay, it's a little bit different than inner corner. It's a little bit more further from your corner. Okay, so you can go ahead and the best way to apply it so that you don't have to worry about having a very steady hand or very perfect eyesight and not have to worry about mistakes is to go ahead and just tap that liner in. So I just like to push it in right at my lash line, just like so. Now you can see, my light's kind of changing a little bit, but you can see that just gives a little bit more definition to my lash line. And this is something that you can build up, especially if you've already primed your eyelid. This line is not going to move around. You good. And you can make that a little bit deeper on the ends, depending on, again, how glam you're going. You can also create your wings because this is like the perfect shape and size for a wing. You can just go ahead and just press that down and then done. We have a nice perfect little wing. We don't need to stress and worry, okay? That's perfectly in our lash line. All right? If you have round eyes, you do want to go ahead and also do the white part of your eye. Just pull that exact same color down right here, okay? Just a little bit. That just elongates the eye and kind of draws away from the roundness in the center. Now, the next tip for liner that I would say is so important to know is tight lining. And I talked about it so much in the previous slides, but just in case you did not know what tight lining is, of course, I'm going to show you. You're just going to go ahead and get your favorite, what I'm using. Okay, you're going to go ahead and get your favorite pharmacy liner. Tight lining, you generally do with a darker pencil. I personally do not recommend black. Black doesn't reflect light. It doesn't help when we're trying to make our eyes look brighter. I always steer people towards a deep brown or some colors, but a deep brown at least. So I'm going to go in with this one. This is a navy blue. This is our dark blue. I'm going to show you guys how to tight line with this one. So tight lining is putting color in our upper waterline. What this does is it makes our lash line look tremendously fuller. And if our lash line looks fuller, which unfortunately as we age, our lashes fall out. It just is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. I'm proud of you. So we can tight line. So this is going to make our lash line look much more fuller, which means our lashes are going to look fuller once we put our mascara on. It's also going to define our lash, our lid. So, you know, like our eye shape essentially. So we're going to go ahead, you just pull up your lid. Well, once you get like a little more pro at this, you can stick it in your eye and go like this. But to start, if you just take your fingers and put them on your lashes, you end up showing off the exact area that you want to do. I unfortunately need a mirror, but I think you guys got it. And you're just going to go in on that waterline right into where your lashes are and just apply the color. Just like so. I already have mascara on, but if I didn't, this is going to make our eyes just look more defined, a little bit darker in color right here. It'll just make the underneath of our eyes look a little bit brighter. And you can do this as dark or as light as you want. Like you can push harder and kind of get through your lashes. So you end up getting a little bit more of a thicker line on the outside. So you look like you have a little bit of eyeliner, even though you haven't used eyeliner. Okay. The great thing about our pharmacy pencils for this one specifically is that they start off really creamy, so they do not scratch the eye at all. These ones are already ophthalmologist tested and approved, so we're not going to get any styes or issues. I do recommend, however, if you are tightlining consistently, that you also treat yourself to a tiny little bottle of rubbing alcohol. One spray. That's it. Then put the liner away, okay? Just in case, okay? So that is tight lining, and that is its purpose, okay? And the last thing I want to teach you guys about liner is another thing that we talked about a few times in the slides, and that is the use of a nude liner. So this is for our lower waterline, okay? Putting on the nude liner, I'm just going to show you exactly what it does, and then you'll understand. This one doesn't really need words, but it goes in our lower waterline. So for a lot of us, this is where we would always put our black liner. When I was in high school, the coolest thing to do, every girl had this in her backpack, a lighter and a black liner. And we would light the black liner on fire, just melt it a little bit, and shove it in our waterline, okay, to have the blackest black under eyes. So in that same spot, not black, we're going in with our nude. And what the nude does, you can see one eye to the other. It just brightens up the eye. It makes our eye whites look a little bit bigger, like our eyes are a little bit wider open. Okay, that is the whole trick behind this one. A lot of people also use white for this. I recommend that anyone over the age of 30 move to nude. Move to nude. It's a little bit more flattering. Kind of the same way we've kind of transitioned away from a very pale concealer to using more peach tone and more our skin tone concealer to get that same type of brightness. The same idea with the liner. You end up still with that brightness, but it's not as dramatic, so it does look a little bit more flattering. And now to round off the eyeshadow class, although we've been done with eyeshadow for a while, to round off the class, I did want to show you guys a really quick, fun technique when applying our mascara, because this really pulls together your eye look. And this mascara works so well for it. I know so many people love the look of falsies, but actually putting on falsies is difficult. I get it. But you can get a very similar look using the Pharmacy Zen mascara. So we're going to go in on our lashes, guys. Make sure you've curled your lashes already. Yeah, I have a little bit of old mascara on, but I think we're okay. So using the flat end, this is the end that you would use to get volume. Using our flat end, we're going to go right up to our lash line, right at the bottom, right where our lashes come out of our skin. And we're going to press that product in. And we're really going to concentrate on the outer part of our eye and slowly move it inside so that we coat all of our lashes. This is going to pick up all those little tiny lashes, so you end up looking like you have a lot more. Pair that with tight lining, and you end up looking like you have incredibly voluminous, thick line of lashes. Once you have all of your volume on, we're going to switch the wand around to our long side to get our length. We're going to go in and we're just going to brush right from that bottom out. And again, we are concentrating on the outside and then working our way in. It's essentially just like one coat of mascara, just in a strategic placement. Now here's where the trick comes in, okay? That wasn't the trick. Here's where the trick comes in. Do your other eye and then come back to your first eye. What I want you to do, and you know what, this works great with this mascara, but whichever mascara you have of ours, or even if you haven't made the leap to our mascara and you're using something else, it'll work with that too. We take our wand on the volume side, and you're going to put your wand right up against your lashes, like this. So you can see my wand's right at my lashes, flicking them. And you're going to blink. You're going to blink a lot. You're probably going to make a silly face. That's okay. You're going to blink a lot. And what this does is this builds this. You see now how my lashes come out and up, right? So now I have a wispy end to my lashes because I've only built up the length on just the outer corner of my lashes, making them go up and out. This will elongate any shape of eye, okay? This will make any shape of eye pop. Just a little bit elongation on the outside. This still has you using, it's only still one coat of mascara, right? But you can see it goes up and out. It's my favorite mascara tip, and I wanted to share it with you guys so that when you guys take all of these eyeshadow tips, you can finish it off with some of these liner and mascara tips and feel very confident to step out into the world and do whatever task that you have set out to do for yourself, feeling good and looking your absolute best. All right. Now, at this time, I'm just going to open up to any questions before we finish up. If anyone has any questions, feel free to hop in now and ask. And of course, feel free at any time if you think of something as you're applying your makeup during the day. I know it's nighttime, so we're not going nowhere. But when you're getting ready tomorrow, if you're getting ready for a holiday event this weekend and you have questions about what we just learned here, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions and kind of guide you for how it is that this technique will work for you specifically. Okay. And if we don't have any questions, then I am just going to stop recording.